You're turning into E2 for real. When it comes to fashion, she got no chill.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Itua For Real. I'm Itua and I'm here with
Cameron, aka King Chris. You'll be right there.
Yeah, well, I'll have this information somewhere on the screen or in the description box. But anyway, today I'm gonna be doing something a little different. I want to do a segment on my channel called For Real Chats, and basically I'm gonna be discussing topics, just like really controversial topics, I think, in today's society, and things that affect me or people like me. And I'm going to be having like guests and we're going to discuss it. This first topic we're going to be talking about is colorism. And I have Cameron here to talk about it because I feel like he's very opinionated and outspoken, and I have a lot to say about this.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay, so to start the video off, some of you may or may not be familiar with what colorism is. And colorism is discrimination or prejudice against people of a community with darker skin tones, usually within the same racial or ethnic groups. So when we talk about colorism, it's good to go back to where it kind of started, or if not started, it was very evident that it was there or being produced. That would be, to my knowledge, slavery. So when we talk about colorism back with slavery, starting with slavery, we're thinking about how the slave masters would separate the slaves due to skin tone. The lighter toned slaves would be able to work in the house and have better living conditions, versus the darker toned slaves would be outside picking cotton and kind of in harsher conditions.
And you say you think that's where it originated?
Yeah. And that's because, I feel as though that's where it originated, because it gave this whole us versus them mentality, this whole if you're lighter, you're better mentality, and that kind of has trickled down into modern day.
I would say that it's been this way. I feel like colorism was always a thing. Even in Africa, like, I'm Sudanese, if you guys didn't know, but I think that even in Africa, like, light-skinned people have like more privileges than dark-skinned people. I feel like this is way before slavery and all that. It's always been like light skin versus dark skin, because if you were light skinned, you were clean, you were seen as clean and like better, and if you were dark skinned, you were just dirty. So I feel like it's been a thing. Like, it didn't take racism for it to happen.
I feel like I feel like your opinion is probably a better way of looking at it, because I'm not like real in depth into other cultures other than my own.
He's just black.
Yeah, I'm just black. One of the topics is pretty much elaborating on how the darker toned people kind of feel towards light skinned people in terms of colorism. And I see this a lot when I go and I kind of browse through my black Twitter. And when there are like controversial topics that have popped up that affect black people, black communities, I see a lot of times, and this is real, I feel like, dominant in women, and men definitely help perpetuate this system by saying things like, oh, like, I want me a red bone, or like light skinned bad chick, or like even telling a dark skinned woman like, oh, you're cute for dark skin, like, especially terms like that. And instead of, because of the fact that men have men have a privilege over women, and so targeting men in that situation wouldn't really do anything. So I feel like a lot of the anger is misguided for women towards each other. And I hate to even be speaking on this, because I don't want anybody to feel like I'm stepping out of my place because I'm not a woman.
I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. So a lot of times I feel like the anger is misguided, and women kind of target each other. So when we're talking about things that oppress the black community, the black woman community, I see a lot of darker toned women kind of targeting lighter toned women, like saying, oh, well, you're lighter. Like society sees you as beautiful. You don't go through the same struggle as I do, and I could see that. But then it gives the light skinned people. So for every privilege that you have for being light skinned, you're kind of punished for it by your own people, by them telling you like you're black, but you're not black enough. Like you don't feel my pain. So then instead of us focusing on like what the true issue is, instead of targeting the men that are perpetuating this system of oppression, women kind of go at each other. Yeah.
I see it. I do see that point, but I feel like it's valid because of the way that we're treated. And I think that black women in general, like you have to be extremely beautiful and like curvy and all that. Like black women have to meet so many standards
European standards, like
in order to be considered like beautiful. I feel like it's amongst black people because like now with the whole body, like everybody's have a Coke bottle body, and like with dark skinned women, like that's the standard of beauty. Like that's what makes them bad or beautiful, is if they're like all that, like skin's popping. And most of the time when you see like girls on Twitter, like dark skinned girls on Twitter, they're oiled up, like
barely any clothes on.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of demeaning, I feel like, because I remember scrolling through Instagram the other day and I saw a picture of 4 differently shaded black women sitting on a couch, and it was like, oh, isn't melanin beautiful? Melanin is popping. And I almost started to repost it, but then I noticed that each one of those women like were on the couch like with bra and panties on, and I didn't want to perpetuate this idea of our black women are only beautiful when they're half naked. Like, so I feel like definitely that darker toned women, people want them to have the most rocking body, the bombest body for them to be considered beautiful. Like,
I feel like it's not like people with lighter tones aren't really held to that standard of beauty. Like they're just beautiful just because they have light skin. Like they could be the most unattractive people, and I feel like they'd still feel that they're like all that just because they have lighter skin. Like that just makes them automatically beautiful. I feel like some people have that mentality.
yeah,
Or some men create that mentality for women. Like, yeah.
especially men. So men, do better, please. Yeah.
So because black women have to be so like to the 10, like, you know, I think that it has created a trend to where dark skinned women are like found beautiful now, and like now we're queens, and now you guys are kings, and now like I feel like it's creating like we're uplifting ourselves and things like that. But at the same time, I kind of think that it's like a trend, like it's just coming and going, and then eventually, like, you know.
Yeah. So when the next best thing is out, then it's like, okay, it's no longer cool to be darker toned.
Yeah.
All of a
Because
sudden.
it wasn't always cool to be dark, so I don't know like what the shift came from, or I don't know.
Yeah, because like you said, I remember you pointing this out earlier, and I definitely agree. And I can testify to that like when we walking down the street, especially like we go to a campus, like,
It's crazy, yeah.
full of white people.
Mm-hmm.
So especially them, like, oh, look at our skin tone, and be like, oh, like
You're so pretty, like your skin is so nice, and like especially like black girls even, they be like, oh, you know, melanin's popping, skin's on fleek or whatever. I don't know, people don't say fleek no more. I take that back, but yeah, I get complimented like all the time. I never used to get complimented, and it was usually always by like white people. Like white people were so fascinated by my skin tone, and like I said, I'm Sudanese, so we typically, like when you see a Sudanese person, the dark skin, you're dark skin and you're tall. Like that's what you see that catches your eye. So I was like a gem because there was not really that many Sudanese people that I went to school with when I was younger. But then the black kids, they were so mean to me. Like I think it was the black kids that were mean about skin complexion. Even not even towards African people, but amongst themselves. Like you guys would put. I don't want to say you guys.
oh, I was a part of the crew
African-American-
before I matured. Yes,
Yeah.
I was definitely perpetuating.
So
the
you
system.
would look at yourself and be like, I look like burnt. Like, you know, did you feel? Were you always as confident? Cameron is confident. Were you always as confident?
I definitely was not always as confident. Now I kind of like have to be confident to stay ahead, and then also with the trend of us all of a sudden being beautiful. But I remember times where in school, and it even happens today, where like, oh yeah, for today we're beautiful and stuff, like we're popping, we're handsome, we sexy. But then next you know, when the lights go off, it's like, oh, where'd they go? Like it's then you still get the comments like, oh, like you're beautiful, like you're cute for a dark skinned girl, like okay.
It's definitely like, I think it's a lot better. Like I feel a lot more confident now in my skin, but at the same time there are still like those cases where people do say like rude things about it.
Yeah, we have to make sure that it's not a trend. Like when you have a beautiful dark-skinned daughter or a handsome dark-skinned son, like you make sure that they know their worth, they know that they're beautiful, and then even if you don't have a child of that skin complexion necessarily, you let them know that
you know we're
all beautiful. Like you don't listen to what European societal standards has to say about your people.
I'm not gonna lie, like when I was younger, I used to always think like I'm not gonna mess with black men, or I'm not gonna be with a black man. I want to reproduce with like a white man, just because I don't want my kid to have it like as bad as I did. But now I feel like my mentality has changed because society has changed, which is really bad. But now I feel more confident.
Yeah, I feel like you were hitting at a good point, because we do change as society changes, and that is it's a good thing because that means society is changing. However, it's a bad thing because society is not changing fast enough. And if we change with society, then we kind of go along with all these social constructs, and then we're not able to understand each other and what the value of the person sitting next to us really is. I know we've been talking a lot about how this affects women specifically, and I feel like it's a good thing to put most of the attention on, because I feel like that's the demographic that it affects the most. But when we're talking about men, like on the flip side, I remember I was reading an article and it talked about how light-skinned men are perceived as soft in society's eyes. So and that kind of allows hypermasculinity to jump on board and kind of take off, because society views you as this soft person, this person who's not about it, whatever that's supposed to mean. You kind of have to be this model macho man. What society tells you a man is supposed to be, you pretty much have to be. Society tells you as a man you have to be emotionless. You have to be emotionless. You're supposed to bulk up and get big muscles. You have to go to the gym. You have to play sports. You're not allowed to do things like art and anything that would make you considered it. That would help you be considered kind of feminine, I guess, depending on what your definition of feminine is.
And I think that especially with like darker skinned men, like they have to kind of put up this image that they're like strong, and and then with lighter skinned men, it's kind of seen like as an insult, like you're acting light skinned, like you're acting emotional, and that just brings like more of a divide and more of like a stigma between the skin tones.
You kind of hit on how colorism affects dark-skinned men having to kind of act tough, and that's because even when the slaves are coming in, I hate to just be talking about slavery, because by all means, I don't want to make it seem like our history started with slavery, you know. But when we're talking about this issue, I'm going from the perspective of how slavery impacts colorism. So when we're talking about like when Africans first came over into slavery, people and still see like black men as like this strong beast, kind of like this majestic beast, and our darker skin kind of still has that connotation to it. So just by looking at it, because I'm a dark skinned man, I automatically have to be tough. I kind of have to be street smart, and that also gives way for hypermasculinity to kind of try to take over, and then try to pressure me into being this hypermasculinity.
That's a whole other topic
yes.
that we're gonna cover.
Okay, yeah.
Soon.
Anyway,
if you guys want it,
hypermasculinity is bad.
Comment below if you guys want that video.
Hypermasculinity is bad. Hashtag.
He could talk about it all day.
But I'm not, because we don't have that much time. Let's see.
Which one are we at? We're just gonna do it like this.
Boom.
So I ran out of storage on my camera, so we're gonna do the outro. I don't know what point the video cut off at, so yeah, whatever you saw, but make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you liked it, and we'll do more.
Yes, we will.
Okay. And what else? Follow Cameron on his Instagram,
because I don't have a YouTube channel.
yeah. So yeah, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and comment down below your opinions about the video, if you liked it, if you agreed, if you disagreed. And thanks for watching. Take it easy. Peace.
Hey.